Well, it wouldn't be a day off without something breaking. Today for repair we have the tree that sits in my computer room next to the computer table. It's got little lights on it, as you can see there. They're white LEDs, like little pieces of rice or whatever you want to call them. Anyways, if you're wondering why the audio is so garbled and junky quality, is because the video taker is kind of messed up and it didn't do audio on this video for some reason. So I really got to get a new video taker, but for now I got to deal with this nonsense. I've done this a couple of times. I took another video afterwards and had audio again, so I don't know. Anyways, what we're looking at now is a battery box for the lights on the tree. It's got, I opened it up, I pulled that cover off. I started doing this before I started the video. Anyways, it's got this circuit board thingy in there. It's got two positions on the switch. It has a timer function, which I've never used. I don't even know if it works. And it's got just regular steady on. So what was happening was I had the thing on, and the lights kind of did some little flickery stuff, and then they just quit working completely, and couldn't get it to work again after that. So I opened it up, and I found this circuit board thing in there, and well, here I just switched it on for a minute, and it came on, and then it stopped working again. So that leads me to believe there's something wrong with the circuit board, particularly in the area with the timer. Of course, because they just can't make something that's got a basic on-off switch and that's it. They was got to throw some junky electronics in there to fail or whatever. So that little black thing there, I believe, would be the computer board for the timer function. Not entirely sure if that's the case, but fairly confident that's where the timer is situated. Now, I was playing around with this thing a bit before the video, and it released some magic smoke. Once I flip the thing back over, I'll tell you where it was. That top part of it, on the top board, you can see it's like swelling at the top. That's where the magic smoke came out of. But so that may be the end of the board. I don't know. Well, I do know now because I watched the video and fixed it. But um, yeah, so that's that. Another look at the switch. I don't know what I was saying here for so long, but I really can't say anything else about this, so I'm going to just cut this clip now. Okay, so at this point, what I was going to do is take those two wires you're looking at right now off the board. Those are the two wires that go right to the lights. So, oh, that's a really blurry clip. So I'm going to take those two wires off of their unsolder them, and I'm going to put them right onto the batteries to see if there's, in fact, a possibility of getting rid of the whole entire board completely and just wiring it straight to the batteries. I don't know if this is going to work because I don't know if the lights actually run off of 3.6 volts or if some of those resistors on there or whatever those things are changing the voltage down to something else, which is probably the case. So here we go, unsoldering the wires. They came off pretty easily. Now I'm going to take little yellow pieces of wire. I'm going to put the wire in the battery terminals so that I can connect those wires to the wires that go to the lights and give the lights a test on straight battery power and see if that's a possibility for a way to modify the board, or rather just get rid of the whole board completely. So I'm giving it a test now, and it turns out the results, you could kind of see it flicker on there. The results are it's way too bright and it's putting way too much power through the lights. So now I'm going to try it with just two batteries, so only 2.4 volts, and see if that's better. I'm giving it another test here, and the results of this test is that it's too dim. So the power draw for the power for the lights is probably somewhere between well, no, it is somewhere between 2.4 and 3.6 volts. It's probably around 3 volts, which is not really achievable with a battery. Okay, what you just saw there was the two batteries. You can see the lights are kind of dim. And in a minute, I think I'm going to switch it to doing 3 volts, and you'll see how it's too bright. Any day now. Should come up. There it is. Yeah, you can see that's way too bright. So what I was going to do is, because the voltage is probably somewhere around 3 volts, between 2.4 and 3.6, I was going to see if I had a 3-volt wall wart and I could just plug in a wall wart and put the lights on there, get rid of the whole battery box and whatnot. It's not really how I wanted to fix it, but it was, a reasonable option. So I was looking for that wall wart and I couldn't find it. I knew I had one. I had gotten it recently. I scoured the place. I couldn't find it. Later, I was cleaning up and I found it in my intake box. I hadn't even sorted through it yet, so that's where it was. But never used it because at the time I couldn't find it. So um, after I fidgeted with that battery thing and concluded that wasn't an option, wall wart wasn't an option, went back to looking at the board, see if I can get it fixed. So I put the wires for the lights back onto the circuit board, and I was messing around with the circuit board, moving around a little bit, and the lights actually started working. And it appeared to be like if I held the board at a certain angle, it would work, and then if I moved it around, it wouldn't work. And the issue is coming from that particular solder joint you saw right there. So what I was going to do now, or what I did now, was I redid that particular solder joint to make it better. You see me doing that here. And the iron wasn't hot enough yet. Should have just cut that out. And then we got some shakiness. And take two. Oh, that's a good angle. Covered the whole stinking thing. Well, anyways, there's the new solder joint. Came out really good. Much better than the ones they did in China. Nice and shiny. That one on the bottom there was one of the ones done in China. As you can see, it's really, it's what they call a very cold joint. So at this point, with that soldered on there now, still trying to get a good angle of it. That's pretty good right there. Yeah, there you go. So the one on the left is the one I did. The one on the right was done in China. Yeah, very bad quality. And as it turns out, I think that was the problem to begin with. Just it was a bad solder joint, because at this point, the lights started working. So here I am, just trying to fix the other one a little bit. To really fix, you have to take everything off and do that. I don't have a solder vac on hand, so to get it off there all the way would be kind of a nuisance. So I just put a little bit more on there just so it's better. Not perfect again. It's not that great, but it's improvement. So at this point, the lights started working pretty well. Here it is working. So I think all along there was nothing actually wrong with the circuit board. It was just simply a matter of the that one solder joint was bad, and because the wires in there that were connecting to that joint really don't move around at all, and you can't move them without taking the box apart. Um, because they don't move, there was no way for me to tell that, just by shaking the box around, that it was having a problem. Oddly enough, when I first took the box apart, I did move the board around to see if it would start working, and it didn't start working. So I don't know what was going on there. I guess maybe when it got, heated up or whatever. I don't really know. I really have no idea, actually. But all I know is I redid the solder joint and it started working, so whatever. Right there, I just did a goof and I pulled the battery terminal out with the batteries, but that's easy enough to fix. Stuff those back in there and it's not a problem. Now I think I dropped the screws to put the board back on there. They are tiny little screws. I found them pretty fast. Now I'm just going to screw the board back on there, and I realized I put the wires for the lights on upside down. I believe they're supposed to come out the bottom of the board, but they were coming out the top. Dopey mistake, but didn't really matter. At the end of the day, I was able to finagle it back in there without that being a problem. You see those two wires on the left are the ones I'm talking about, but fits in there okay anyways. Got that seated in there. Then I was going to put the I'll put the cover back on the plate for the switch names. There it is right there. Indicates the 3 positions of the switch. Off on the right, and then center position is just on, and the left has a timer. Again, I've never used a timer. Probably should give it a try and see if it actually works. I don't know how long it's for. Probably 6 or 8 hours. And then putting the screws back in. I have to say, from working on this little battery box, I was actually impressed with the quality of it. It's really sturdy and well built. The screws aren't stripped or anything like that. Aside from the fact that the solder joints aren't the greatest, everything else seemed like it was pretty good quality. Alright, so I just tested it out there and it's working pretty good. There it is, off. Turn it on. There we go. And I had the tree going all afternoon and still doing fine. So thank you for watching. Comment, subscribe, and out.